Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Psycho, and I've got another Walking Dead video for you all today. This one is going to be a little different from my normal videos, and it involves a recent article that was put out by Cinema Blend about John Carpenter, the director of Halloween, trash-talking The Walking Dead. I'm just going to start this video out by reading this article off to you all, and then giving some of my thoughts upon it. It states, John Carpenter recently did an episode of the WTF podcast with Mark Maron where he discussed the horror genre and his future projects. But during his interview, Carpenter managed to squeeze in some jabs about AMC's The Walking Dead. Carpenter stated, The Walking Dead was a movie that George Romero made back in 1968, and they have milked that and they still are milking it. Shots fired. John Carpenter doesn't seem to be a fan of imitation and thinks The Walking Dead is just milking the zombie genre for money and adoration that the show has accrued over the years. This is basically pretty much all the article had to say about this, but I found the things that John Carpenter said pretty hypocritical. Now, before I continue on with some of my opinions, which will most likely turn into a rant, I do want to say if you guys want to see more videos like this where I talk about The Walking Dead, getting a lot of hate from different types of articles and news sources online, I believe some people like to bash on The Walking Dead a lot just because it gives you those clicks. They know there's a ton of Walking Dead fans, so they're going to click on that video or they're going to click on that article. They're going to get that ad revenue and they just became successful. They basically want you to click on it because they know that you like The Walking Dead, and by giving an alternative opinion, they want to see you come and defend that, but by coming to defend that, you've clicked on it and then given them their ad revenue. Anyway, some people are also serious about not liking The Walking Dead, but I just see an agenda pushed with some news articles lately. I won't mention any specifically, but if you guys want to see some videos on that, make sure to let me know. It will probably be a more rant type video, but I would need your guys' support on this if you are interested with it, so make sure to let me know. But anyways, I'm going to get right into my thoughts on this right here. And John Carpenter was somebody I always had a lot of respect for because of his movies. He's done a great job with some of the horror movies that he's directed, such as The Thing, Halloween, and other movies along those lines. But after reading this little interview right here, I've lost a lot of respect for John Carpenter now. I know it may seem like I'm some sort of fanboy. Of course, when someone disses The Walking Dead, I'm going to take up for it. But I do have logic and reasoning behind my thoughts, though. It just seems extremely hypocritical for John Carpenter to say something like this. For example, let's look at Halloween the movie, directed by John Carpenter, which was originally released in 1978, I think. A lot of people believe that Halloween and Friday the 13th kicked off the slasher genre. However, for John Carpenter to say that The Walking Dead is milking from Night of the Living Dead, that is just extremely hypocritical, considering a less mainstream movie known as The Town That Dreaded Sundown was released 2 years before Halloween, and that was actually a slasher movie as well. So using the same logic that John Carpenter uses here, you could say Halloween milked The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Now, of course, I don't necessarily believe this, but if you are using the same logic as John Carpenter, that's what one might say. The fact of that right there simply shows that The Walking Dead is not milking off of Night of the Living Dead. Of course, there's some overlapping of content, such as the zombies. However, The Walking Dead's producers has just revolutionized this industry and genre as a whole, in my opinion. They've really created a vast universe and added a lot of new things to the mix. Of course, there's zombies in The Walking Dead, but there's a whole lot more to that. Without a doubt, I can say that The Walking Dead is the biggest and most complex zombie universe that we've had up to date. They've expanded way more than just a zombie genre. They've added drama in, they've added compelling characters to where even if you did start watching the show because of zombies, if they completely stopped the zombies and just had all of the warfare between the characters, I would still watch that. Even though I would prefer zombies to still be in the series, I am that involved with those characters that I would still want to see what happened with them. Like I said, I prefer the zombies to be in there, but those characters are so compelling that I would be willing to watch it without zombies. To me, it just seems way too hard-headed to say that The Walking Dead is milking Night of the Living Dead. John Carpenter is simply living in the past and thinking that the people of his age are the best in that genre, and they really aren't. That's not to discredit George A. Romero in any way, though. I'm saying that now in this date and time, we still have creative producers and directors that can come up with these awesome ideas for television shows, movies, and just put out some extremely fresh and new content that can be enjoyed by a lot of people. I wish I could put into words of what I'm trying to say here. I don't know if I'm doing a great job at describing it, but I just feel like John Carpenter is being hard-headed here. It feels as if he's only watched 1 or 2 episodes and automatically assumes that's what this show is like, because a lot of people assume that The Walking Dead sucks and talk smack about it, but those are the people that don't really go in depth and explore everything the show has to offer, like watching more than 1 or 2 episodes. I also sense a little bit of jealousy with John Carpenter in The Walking Dead, possibly maybe due to The Walking Dead's success. I don't really know, but I don't understand why someone would want to go and talk crap about The Walking Dead, considering The Walking Dead has a lot of homage to old movies and very cool references, showing that they respect those older horror movies and zombie movies, and for basically a horror legend like John Carpenter to disrespect a show like that publicly, it's just distasteful in my opinion. I feel like anyone in the horror genre should give props to each other if they do deserve it, because everyone in this genre has a passion for what they're creating, so if the content is good, why not support them instead of just saying, oh, you're milking off of this, you're not being creative, in which the show actually really is. I'm just going to try and come up with a quick analogy here. Let's pretend Night of the Living Dead was the first zombie movie, even though we all know it wasn't. Let's pretend that movie is the first people to go to space. Now let's pretend The Walking Dead is a group that's coming to space a lot later than some of the other people. Now, although the first people may have discovered a lot of things first, The Walking Dead happens to discover some things that no one else has discovered yet. This analogy probably might sound pretty bad. Basically what I'm trying to say here is The Walking Dead is expanding upon just the zombie genre. They're adding a lot more to that, and they're discovering a lot more as they're creating this story. And it's not like it's really anything that's been done before, so I don't know how you can say that they're milking off of Night of the Living Dead. Also, Victor Harpin's White Zombie was released in 1932, way before Night of the Living Dead, and is often cited to be the first zombie film. So if we're really talking about milking, how can something be milking off of something else that is milking off of something else? Of course, like I said, I'm not saying Night of the Living Dead milked White Zombie. I'm just using the same mentality John Carpenter is using when he says The Walking Dead milked off Night of the Living Dead. I just want to get that straight there because I do not want it to sound like that. Anyways, that's just basically all I have to say. I don't really know if I explained it perfectly. I felt like I could have explained it a little better, but this is basically all I could think of to get out to you guys today. I really hope you all enjoyed the video, and please make sure to leave a like on this if you did enjoy it. It always helps out an absolute ton and supports the channel. Thank you again, guys. I really appreciate it. Peace out.